Let's tell a sound story. I'm going to use my hands and some materials I brought to tell a story with music and sound. Earlier, Mary shared the poem, 5 Little Ducks. And in this poem, these 5 little ducks go away from the mama, they go over the hill and far away, and each time one less comes back. And that got me thinking, what were those ducks doing over there? Why did one less duck come back every time? What was happening? So I thought it would be fun to use my imagination to tell a story about these 5 little ducks. I brought some materials with me. I brought this whistle, because this whistle, I think, sounds like going over the hill and far away. I also have these suction cup toys, which kind of made me think of a duck waddling. I brought a blade of grass, because if you take a blade of grass and you tuck it between your thumbs and blow, you can kind of make a sound that I think sounds like Mama Duck. I have a cup with some water, because something might go into the water, so I brought this stone too to drop in. And finally, I have my kalimba, because I have an idea for that too. Well, let's get started. One day, 5 little ducks wanted to go play, so they asked their mama, "Mama, is it okay if we go play over the hill and far away today?" And she said, "Oh, that sounds like lots of fun. Just take my cell phone in case you need it." And so they said, "Oh, okay, well, thanks, Mama." So they waddled off, and they went over the hill and far away. And on the other side of the hill, they saw the biggest lake ever. The water was so deep and clear. They walked right up to the edge and peered down into that deep, clear water. And as they leaned forward and looked in, the cell phone slipped and went into the water. "Oh no," the ducks said. They looked at each other. They looked down into the water. What are we gonna do? And then just then, they heard Mama's call. So they said, "Okay, you stay here and the 4 of us will go back and check in with Mama." So the 4 waddled off and they went over the hill. And Mama said, "How are you doing today? Are you having a good time?" And they said, "Oh yes, Mama, we're having such a great time. Okay, we gotta go." And so they waddled back off again and they went over the hill and far away to check in. "Have you gotten the phone?" Nodded the little duck. They looked at each other. They looked down into the water. What are we gonna do? And then they heard Mama's call again. She was calling to check in. So this time only 3 went back and 2 stayed behind. So they waddled off and they went over the hill. And Mama said, "Are you all having a good time? Are you hungry? Do you need a sandwich?" And they said, "Oh no, Mama, we're just fine. We gotta run." So they waddled back off again and they went over the hill and far away. And they got back. "Have you gotten the phone?" And the 2 ducks nodded their head. "We haven't figured out how to get the phone out of the water." It was getting dark and they knew it was almost time to go home. But then, Mr. Fish swam up from the bottom of the lake. "What are you duckies looking at down there?" asked Mr. Fish. And the duck said, "Mr. Fish, we dropped our cell phone. It's down at the bottom of the lake. Can you help us?" And Mr. Fish said, "Sure." So he swam down through that deep, clear water, picked up the cell phone, tucked it in his fin, and swam back up. "Here you go, duckies. Next time, be more careful." And they said, "Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Fish." And then just then, they heard Mama's call again. So they waddled back and they went over the hill and got back to their mama. Did you have a good time today playing over the hill and far away? And the duck said, "Oh, yes, Mama, we sure did. And here's your cell phone." Mama took the phone back and she said, "Why is my cell phone dripping?" I love telling sound stories. I love using my imagination to come up with ideas for music and sound to make my story come alive. What stories do you have in your head? What stories do you want to tell? And how can you make your stories come alive?